Hi, everybody. Joy Brooks, Email and Coffee. And today I'm speaking with Yuval Ackerman, who is not in the States and not even in her home. Where are you today?
Hi, Joy. I'm very currently in Croatia. In a week and a half, I'll be in Thailand.
Oh, wow, Thailand. So that'll be quite different. So so tell us a little bit about what you do and maybe a few different places that you've been.
Okay. I'm an ethical email strategist and copywriter. I work with B Corps and personal brands to create very personalized email experiences that deepen connections and sell more. And in terms of my travels, well, I was born and raised in Israel. And a little over 7 years ago, I moved to Berlin. The official excuse was me studying there, specifically music production and audio engineering. And I stayed there for 6.5 years. And I knew pretty much early on that this is not where home is. And I've been battling with the idea of where is home or what is home.
Mm-hmm.
And if not Berlin, then where is it that I do feel like I'm at home? And so far, I haven't found that, even as we're speaking. But I was very much trapped in a lot of fear of the unknown, which is something that I am constantly battling with. But about a year ago, I gave myself the permission to not know and still do something about it. And I packed up my bags. It was maybe actually almost precisely a year ago where when I made the decision to sell most of my stuff, pack a very small bag, and start nomading and finding where it is that I feel like I'm at home. So in the past year, I've been to Spain. I've been visiting my family in Israel. I've been to Bulgaria. I've been to Italy. I've been to the Netherlands. I'm now in Croatia. I'm sure that I'm missing something, and I will end the year in Thailand.
So, so obviously you take your business with you.
Yes.
And that it makes it okay. So it makes everybody say, "Oh, that's wonderful. I wish I could do that." It makes everything so easy, but it really doesn't necessarily
No,
make it easy.
not at all.
Okay? So you're presenting yourself with a number of unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
You're giving yourself permission to be afraid and
Yes.
to problem solve your way each and every time,
Mm-hmm.
which sometimes leaves you sleepless, but perhaps it actually gives you um, the knowledge that I did that.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
that. I solved the problem. Or, I made a mess of that and it was kind of funny. And, I
Mm-hmm.
met some people out of that process, whatever it is. So you're introducing a whole bunch of unknowns intentionally
Yes.
with knowing that you have a skill set. That's a known.
Mm-hmm.
So you're leaning on, your skill set, your temperament. I mean, you know who you are.
Absolutely.
And that's, I'd say that that's the most important factor. If you're thinking about doing this, but you have you don't have a complete grasp of who you are, that may be iffy. That may be too much of an unknown. If you know who you are, then you could take yourself on a trip.
But you know what? I'm starting to believe. Well, there is the phrase that we all know and have heard of ignorance is bliss. Sometimes I wish I wouldn't have known myself that well because I have a feeling that decision making would have been easier.
Mm-hmm.
And, I just feel like people who might not know themselves this deeply, first of all, they have a lot more to explore, right? I'm not saying that I don't. I feel like I have less to explore these days than others, maybe. And the other thing is, for them, they might not be trapped in thoughts of what if I go here and not there? What if I tried this and not that? I have a feeling that the fact that I know myself is great in some instances, and it's a total curse in others.
I think that all that comes in time. I'll be honest, that comes in time. But what you're doing, the remote work, which is becoming an option for a lot of people, remote working, whether it's, I want to do it in the States, or if I want to do it internationally, or if I want to do it within a company, within a country that I'm familiar with, in the language that I'm familiar with, however that is. A lot of people are interested in that because they do want to experience somewhat different lifestyles within some amount of a comfort zone, or to blow it to pieces and be completely uncomfortable and enjoy that.
Yeah.
But as I said, I think you need a certain amount of confidence to be able to say, I'm getting on a plane. I don't know the language. I can't even speak with the person, the stewardess, or, the attendant that's asking me questions. We're having to figure it out. And this is fun, because it can be. I mean, I remember when I went to Israel, I don't speak Hebrew. And I was not only not speaking Hebrew, but I didn't speak Arabic. So people were coming to me and speaking lots of different languages. And I had a lot of fun. I mean, we were able to communicate. We were able to communicate.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, you would go a very long distance with a smile.
Exactly. And I think that that's almost as much confidence as you need to have. It's like, I can go a long distance just with a smile. I'll figure it out. It's all figure outable, as Maria Forleo would say. I'm not going to steal it. So your Thailand's going to be very, obviously every place you've gone to has been pretty much terrifically different.
Yeah.
And Thailand is yet another terrifically different place. So will it be summer there?
It's always hot there, which is exactly why I'm going there.
Okay. All right. You've got, there's just so many different things. You've got culture, you've got foods, you've got, the environment, everything's going to be different. So have you any interesting story that you could share about any particular place over the past year?
I have many, but that's the thing about these kinds of questions. I'm kind of overwhelmed with all of the possibilities. But I can tell you, I will try to choose one positive story and one negative story, and we can expand on whichever one. Let me think of a positive story.
Oh, I put you on.
A little bit. But that's good. I only have to finish strong, and that's gonna be impressive enough. A good story. Oh, there we go. I visited Madrid. So I was in Spain for nearly 5 months this year, and I basically explored different areas and cities and towns and villages and ways of life. And I finally got to Madrid in my last week of my exploration of Spain. And I texted someone who used to be my very first roommate in Berlin. And I haven't seen her in years, maybe 4 years. And we met in the center of Madrid. And I knew that I had a very short time there. So I booked an Airbnb very far away from the city center. I didn't really care about, I'm not into doing all the touristy stuff. So I was totally fine with actually seeing how people live in the outskirts of Madrid. And we met in the city center, and we had a few drinks, and we hung out as if time hasn't passed. And then she asked me, okay, where do you go? where's home for you in not Berlin, in Madrid for you right now? And I mentioned the area that I, uh, took an Airbnb in. And she said, "You're kidding. I bought an apartment a couple of years back, and it's just around the corner from your Airbnb, which is very, very middle of nowhere, and not necessarily the hippest or the youngest or the most interesting. But, it's that coincidence of here we are again, meeting in another city, major city, a capital, and we live so close to one another. And that was just amazing.
It's
So
kind of
yeah,
funny
that was
how those synchronicities and coincidences work.
for sure. So that was a funny coincidence and a positive experience. I met a lot of fantastic people, old and new to me. A negative experience that now kind of seems like a funny story, but believe me, it wasn't. I was a part of a fellowship that was EU funded, that reminded me of a cult. And that was a month-long program that I regretted joining in the first place. But hey, it taught me a lot, and I know that I'm not going to fall into the same traps again. So again, I learned from everything I've been through in the past year, and I will keep on learning as I go.
Yeah, I think, whether you travel or not, the mindset that everything is an experience, that there are
Mm-hmm.
lessons, that it's not just if you're looking at your life, or your work, your career as 9 to 5, get up, go, get it done, come home. If you're just doing that, I think that's going to lead to a certain amount of unhappiness, a huge desire to do something better. I mean, you're just not feeling fulfilled. But if you literally say, I'm going to talk with somebody on the train, and I'm going to go to a different coffee shop every day. Make little things an experience, even in a mundane type of situation. You'll find, I look at it this way. I talk with strangers at the shop, at the food store. And I remember those conversations. I come home with recipes from those conversations. So
Wow.
while my husband would be like, I don't want to go food shopping. Yeah, I hate that store. I'm like, okay, I'll go. Because I'm going to meet somebody. I'm going to find something out. I'm going to, have a conversation. I'm just not going to push my cart through, get in my car, drive home, and go, oh, God, it was so long at that light. That's not the way I think.
I mean, Joy, I think despite, you told me otherwise beforehand, but I think you're the kind of potential nomad who would have made the
Yeah.
most out of being a nomad, to be honest, because I'm not as
Yeah.
courageous in terms of approaching people.
I have a few I have a few things on my wish list. Like a lot of people like, oh, I want to jump from an airplane and I want to do this and I want to go this place. I would spend a year in Europe. No car, train ticket, travel. Do with someone that I know well. I wouldn't want to do it alone. That I know well, that we can experience things together and it's fun together. So that, at any point in time, can I just do this myself? And the person would be like, fine, go ahead, do it yourself. I don't have a problem with that. So somebody couldn't be my husband because he's passed, but he wouldn't have been that type of person anyway. That wouldn't have been for him. So in any case, that would be something I would do. I also want to get an RV and travel New York. Travel New York. Spend the summer in a different place with the RV. There's so much in New York that I haven't seen. That would be, it would be fun just to do that. So and I have to take the dogs. The trip to Europe, I can't take the dogs, but the
I mean, you
RV,
can,
I
but
can take the dogs.
it's a bit more of a hassle, but you can bring the dogs with you to Europe.
Yeah. I'd have to get
Just
the
logistics.
passports and all that kind of, and all the vaccinations, and then drag them all over town.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy would like that. Molly would not. Molly would not. Like, I think she'd wake up every day and go, "Where are we now?" She's blind and deaf, so it'd be like, "What? I don't know how to get around." Not good for her. Any case, traveling with Helen Keller would be somewhat of a, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. As all my dogs get older, I'm not sure if this is something with the food, with the mass-produced food for animals. But my previous dog, as she got older, she got blind, and I knew she had diabetes. So I brought her to the doctor. Oh, yes, she's diabetic. And then, I went through all of that. Well, this dog, she doesn't have the same symptoms, but she's blind and she has hearing problems. So, all my dogs end up getting called Helen Keller. That was the point of the conversation. And they don't know it because they can't hear or see. So,
exactly.
they don't
Not that they know who Helen Keller was, but
yeah, I'm like, I can't even do hand things. Like, all of my dogs, I train them with hand signals.
Wow.
So with the assumption that, I'll get through to them one way or the other, because sometimes they're just looking at me and they might not be able to hear me, or sometimes they can hear me, right? And in any case. So occasionally, Molly, who's deaf and blind, I'll make the hand signal and she'll sit and I'll be like, "Oh, you're having a good day today." So I know she's not totally blind. She just has good and bad days. I mean, she's 13 years old. So for a dog, that's a bit much. So like I said, traveling would not be good for her. She knows this house. And I know when she's walking around that she's completely lost. She at least knows, I'm looking for, I know she knows what she's looking for. But if I dragged her to a new place every time, she'd be like, "I don't know what I'm looking for anymore. I'm just going to go right here." Okay. Which wouldn't be good. So with your traveling and all of that, has it ever occurred to you that maybe what I am doing is changing, or I don't want to do this anymore? Or, how is it that your traveling fits in with your discovery in your career?
I love that question. First of all, I think that the ability to work wherever and whenever I want and wish is a huge asset to me. I got to the conclusion a few months back that I'm becoming unemployable, in the sense of I work a few hours in the morning and I can have, a lot of motivation and focus at around 10 or 11 p.m. I'm a night owl. An employer who needs me in the office at 8 a.m. would get nothing out of me but desperation and snarkiness. So I think that the ability to choose where I'm working from and the ability to fulfill myself and to fill my life with experiences and adventures in between work, even though it's hard to balance work and life, it always has been challenging for me. I think that benefits my clients way more than if I were to be stuck in one place and needed to work in, specific hours. So that's one aspect to it. In terms of whether it's changing what I'm doing, definitely. I think that the more I meet people and hear different experiences, the more I understand how I want to build my life and build my business. And it's not to say that I hear all of those opinions and I consider each and every one of them. Not the case. But I do hear of different opportunities and different possibilities. And it makes me feel much more centered in terms of really asking myself, is that what I want? And I can tell you, Joy, you're not the first person to hear that, but maybe that's the first time I'm saying that on the record like this. I got to the conclusion that the way I've run my business in the past couple of years is not how I want to move forward with this. So next week, actually, I'm going to start working with a business coach and change things around to get to the point where I am happy with what I'm doing and how I'm doing. And yeah, just taking the leap.
The funny thing is that the mistakes or, regret or whatever it is, learning your boundaries firsthand is very important. And a lot of people don't do that. So they'll go to a job that is very structured, that they know 9 to 5, lunch is at 12, no overtime. On Mondays we have meetings. On Wednesdays, whatever. It's very structured. They're not learning anything about themselves other than, how to be on time, how to, present yourself in a meeting. You're learning all the things within the structure, right?
Yes.
It's okay. It's not bad, but that's all that you're learning. You're not exercising at all. And even given the opportunity within an organization to grow, you're still within their culture, and that's the opportunity there. And for many people, that's what they want. That's fine. I'm not trying to pass my opinion about anybody. There's no such thing as judgment. But for many of us, we're constantly pushing the boundaries. And you mentioned snarkiness. That's what happens. We become snarky because it's like, yeah, that's your attitude. Because you're wanting something to happen and you don't want it to be the yeah experience. So you having done that, you're at the point where, okay, you know what? I've had so much time to myself and I found a number of things that work. But I don't know how to organize those things. And now that I know what works and doesn't work, maybe I can work with somebody else who can help me start putting it together, organizing. So, it happened in its way for you so that you could have the opportunity to put it together, that you recognize that it's time. A lot of people would not, may just change their career. Oh, I'm not doing well. I'll just, do this and continue to do that. And they're not finding anything because it's, for some of us, work is just work. It's just 9 to 5 or whatever the time period it is. And that's okay. Again, there have been a number of times where I've thought to myself, why don't I just, get myself a part-time job where I have a few hours every day at the food mart and do this, right? It'll be exercise and I'll meet people and I'll know exactly what's expected of me. There won't be any questions. It'll be very, very good. I'll make money, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'd be unhappy in a week. Yeah. Like after the first week, I'd be like, and I'd get snarky. So, some of us need literally to learn something all of the time or feel that we're exercising our brains in some sort of a capacity and know that I'm building something up. It's not ever going to get stagnant. And perhaps when it does, I may need to, make a few changes. So along those lines, you're a woman, and the status quo, I'm sure parents are saying to you, and when are you going to get married? So, I worked a bunch of different corporate jobs until I was 40 years old, and I was not married. And for 6 years out of that time, I didn't date. it just wasn't coming. It just wasn't falling into place. It wasn't that I wasn't looking for the right guy. It wasn't that I wasn't interested in socializing. It was just, it wasn't happening. And in many cases, I was a little bit miserable. And when I look back, I think to myself that if I had only taken advantage of the moment and been able to apply what I know now, then wouldn't that be a wonderful life? So um, I'd say um, I'd say that technology has provided so many opportunities for so many people, women, men, obviously, those types of people, animals, perhaps. Um, they have work too. So, technology has provided so many options and opportunities, more so, and over time, every time technology is introduced, the opportunities become exponential. And when the wheel was introduced, when fire was introduced, many things happened immediately, right? Now, what are we going to do with the wheel? Wow, we could put stuff in the wheel and we can now bring stuff from this place to that place. Wow. Fire. I can make food. I could cook it. I can warm the house. I mean, stupid things like basic technology change the world from being nomads to hunter gatherers and nomads to being city dwellers to creating civilizations. And here we are. We're still working with technology, and the technology is providing you the ability to work wherever you want, to flip a switch and be online and get it done.
Yeah.
So I think that technology is the kernel, the seed that has a lot of people doing a lot of things that our parents never, ever envisioned. Like, you're supposed to go to school and then go to college and then have a career. Right?
Yeah.
One thing. What do you do for a living? I'm an accountant, right? Type of a thing. And that's not only, now do we have technology, but now we've got people saying, I don't even want to study to be an accountant. What good is that? Like, if I want to go back to school to become an accountant, I'll do that in my 30s. I don't want to do that right now. I want to find out if I want to be an accountant. I don't want to just go to school after high school, spend 4 years in school to find out I have an accountant, then do an accountant job and hate it. Maybe I'll, work in finance and figure it out. So, and I'm not going to school type of a thing. Or maybe I'll go to a local college at night. So now technology has invaded education. So do you think that your education and technology, how that is impacting your situation right now, where you're saying I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing it right, and I don't know how to do it. I'm going to see if I can work with somebody else so that I can bounce ideas off of someone else, and that person is going to help me organize. So and that's becoming prevalent. So what I'm basically saying is, will you continue to travel, like this relationship that you have with the coach, which is pretty common, that you foresee happening over, unfolding in the next month or so? How do you foresee that impacting? How do you want that to impact your life? Why did you go ahead and do this? Where are you going with it? What's your best vision of this? And I hope the coach is not listening.
She might. The thing is, without technology, I wouldn't have gotten to know either my coach or any of my clients. I think if not for technology, I wouldn't have had a business, honestly. I think technology today allows you to carve whichever path you want to have for yourself, career-wise, personally. And I can tell you that my education, whether it was primary school or high school or even university, looking back, I was bored out of my mind. And it's funny because I just talked about it earlier today, and I didn't remember that, but before I went to university in Berlin, I actually wanted to build some kind of a curriculum for myself and choose my own teachers and have more of an informal way of educating myself
Homeschooling.
according to what I wanted. Yeah, exactly. And my mom being very caring and from an older generation, she said, no, you have to have a degree. And I said, okay, so the only way or the only place where I can have a degree in that is not in Israel. And she had to accept that. Did my degree in Berlin answer all of my questions and whims and wants? Absolutely not. So I think in a sense, traditional education is too rigid when you have such an abundance with technology. And as a woman, I can tell you that if it wasn't for technology, not only myself, but so many women and also non-binary people that I know would have suffered tremendously or would have been unemployed and miserable. So I think technology is bringing us together. It's also bringing us apart, tearing us apart, but it's also bringing us together in new and very exciting ways that are very personable. And I'm very thrilled with that.
I think that if education became personal or personal level, where instead of teaching us facts, although facts are important, teaching us confidence in ourselves or how to find confidence in ourselves, to determine what we want. Like, to some extent, you said school boards you and you wanted to create your own syllabus. I think we need to realize that life is structured, and we need to deal with that, because at some point in time, you're going to need a structure if you're going to raise a family. The family's going to need some sort of structure. You just can't be uprooting them every single day. And life is not only about family, but I mean, if without family, there won't be life in 2 generations. So life is about family. So I think that if we had more social skills, and those things are important, and they're not being taught. They were taught in the old school system, where you go to the school system and you'd have all different grades in a small school, and everybody would learn penmanship, respect, speaking, really basic things. Reading, writing, and arithmetic, basic things. Then we got into these, schools got into teaching lots of facts. So you learned history, and, you had to read books, but the, gym class became embarrassing, and extracurricular, being a librarian or going, being in the book club made you a nerd. All of these things suddenly became negative. Where those things are, the library club probably would be best for someone who wants to read. Yeah. As opposed to the extracurricular athletic activity whereby somebody can actually hit the baseball, the ball with the bat. I could not. So, those are the things where I think the education system needs some change. It's sort of too stuck in this curriculum. That's somewhat the answer is, at least in the States, and it's probably spreading, is homeschooling or community schooling, where it's going back to a few teachers who are getting together in the neighborhood and taking kids in. You've got an athletic teacher, you've got an English teacher, you've got a social studies teacher, and you have the core elements teacher, and they're the ones who are teaching you. And COVID brought this on, but COVID also showed all of the problems with the systems that were in place, that were riding, literally just riding. So, I my generation, which is the boomers, they're not the biggest with technology. They were big with machines, right? So machines weren't a big deal to them, but technology is a big deal. So telephones they can answer as long as it's a physical thing that's sitting on their desk, but figuring out how to set up their phone, cell phone is not something that they want to do. I have a few friends that can add in their heads, right? Give them a piece of paper and they can solve anything that they can solve anything, but give them some sort of a technical problem and they're like, what? Why do I need to do that? I don't understand. So the world, it's not only changing. For example, there were a few generations, right? We had boomers, and the boomers lasted for a really long time. For that amount of time, we have 6 generations? A generation, Z, Y, millennials. What is it now?
Gen Z.
No, it's another one. It's another generation.
Gen Alpha?
Alpha. Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
So within 50 years, there's 4 different generations. While within 50 years, it was the boomers. Period. The boomers. So you had you had everybody after World War II, till the 80s?
Possibly.
Right? Those are all considered boomers to some extent. Not to the 80s, possibly to the 70s. They were all considered.
Yeah.
So 30 years. 30 years. That's a lot. 30 years, we've got 3 different generations.
Yeah.
And they are different. And that's because technology continues to change them.
Yeah.
While everybody's using technology, it's when they pick that up. I was a teenager. I was, at work. I was born with it.
Yeah,
ones that are born with it are completely different.
Yeah.
And
for better or worse.
Better or for worse. And the interesting thing, I'd say, or the challenge is to make it work, not make it not work. It's not complain about it. Make it work. You cannot say, well, take the technology away. That's the problem. You can't do that. Okay, take the wheel away. That's the problem. No, there won't be any wheel. There won't be any gears. There won't be anything. Everything will be gone. Right? No, that you can't solve the problem like that. So we've got this world that's speeding forward, that's changing on a dime, whereby careers. Do you even think about a career? Do you think about your work as a career?
That's a good question.
Now, I think about it as work. Tell you, they'd like to be able to say, "Oh, Yuval, yes, she's a nomad." That's not what they want to say.
No.
Right? But that's what I'm saying is that it's becoming the word nomad. Your parents would say nomad, and you'd be like, "I'm a nomad." They're thinking that what did we do wrong? And you're thinking, wow, this is great. I can do anything. So you're thinking opportunity and they're thinking, oh my God, she's never going to get married. whatever,
Well,
right?
the thing is, I already told my parents a very long time ago that I have no intentions of getting married, so, like officially.
Right.
So that's not, you know, in the books. That is in the books, but it's not gonna get into the, you know, orthodox books of like she's married, she belongs to this and that
Opening up the
man.
definitions, that's what I'm saying. The concept of career, which had
Mm,
meaning for them and had a meaning. When you use the word career, you're like, it doesn't even
yeah,
apply. Like marriage doesn't apply, career doesn't apply to what you're
exactly.
doing.
I can tell you more than that. I've had my business now for almost 4 years. And when people ask my parents, what is it that your daughter does? They're not sure how to answer that. So every once in a while, I get a text from either one of my parents. What is it that you do exactly, or how can I describe your business to people? And I cannot tell you the amount of or number of times where my mom connected me to colleagues of hers or someone that she thought might be interesting or interested in what I'm doing for collaboration purposes or whatnot. And that other person would tell me something like, yeah, I heard from your mom that you're doing X. And I would say, that's not at all what I'm doing. Not at all. And I would text my mom and I would ask her, Mom, what is it that I'm doing? How do I define my business or my position in my business? And she would be completely baffled. So there you have it. And I mean, I don't blame her. I feel like in the almost 4 years that I've had my business, every year has been a different story. It has been a different business. Going into year 4, or is it year 5? I'm not sure how to count anymore. There you go. You know, maths is useless. I didn't learn anything. I just learned how to puke what I've been taught. You know, I don't remember anything. A different issue altogether. I don't remember anything. But um, going into year 4, it's going to be a completely different business than what it's been up until now. And that's a good thing, right? Because this is where I see myself being more fulfilled and more impactful and more helpful. And yet, you know, it's hard to keep track, even for myself.
I, the thing is, you discovered that you had a skill set and you decided to, I'll use the term, exploit that skill set, right?
Yeah.
Right. So now you have a service that you can provide to people. You've organized this. It's your business, and it's not so unusual um, in itself. It's just that for the past, 100, 150 years, that's not been the corporate method,
Mm-hmm.
although it's what built corporations. So
Yeah.
Henry Ford turned around and said, well, I'm going to create this assembly line. What? Henry, what? What? Can you just be an accountant? Can you, what assembly line? So what entrepreneurs did when they were presented with wild opportunities, like we can build cars. We can't build them fast enough. What the heck? We can, have to make them cheap and fast. Otherwise, no one's gonna, I can make a car. I'll see you in what, 5, 6 years, and maybe I'll have 5, 10 of them. What, I'm gonna build them myself. So we have the ability, because we've got the technology, we have the skill set, we have lots of people now recognizing individually their skill sets and all doing what Henry Ford was doing, creating an assembly line for their skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening. Where the corporate concept, that's still there. So you need a dress. Again, you could go to seamstress if you want and wait for them to finish it and have one dress in 3 weeks. That's called a wedding dress, whatever. But you need 5 dresses and you need them tomorrow, right? You're leaving in 3 days, so you go to a store. So obviously corporations still need to exist, but
Yeah.
we do not all need to churn that out, because the skills that we have are slightly different. While someone else can sew, and if you wanted to, you could say, you know what, I'm going to do a cottage industry and I am going to be a seamstress, and that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be my business, small business. That's what I'm going to do. That would work, but that would require that you need to be a businesswoman or businessman, doesn't matter, whatever you are, and you'd need to have those skills. Oh, I don't do that. I'm an idiot when it comes to business. I just know how to sew. Then you better go to work in a corporate environment where they do that. And you can, again, it's what are my skills? So you're learning your skills that your mother has no idea about. Trust me, my friends to this day have no idea what I do.
But if we're getting back to technology and your wonderful example about the seamstress, those kinds of people can now say, okay, I don't know about business, but luckily I found this online course that would teach me how to become a business person and run a business that is not running me, but I'm running it. So I think, we definitely need the two types of businesses, because they're beyond skills. There are different sets of interests. Some people do need the routine and the structure and the format of the 9 to 5, and they enjoy it, and that's what they need. That's the kind of structure that they need in their lives. I think routines, even for small business owners or nomads or anything in between, routines are extremely important. Without my routine, I would not start my day grounded. I will not produce good work, period. But now, we have a whole spectrum of anything between a small business owner to corporate, and anything in between can be applicable and useful for all kinds of sets of skills, but also interests. And there's space and, there's space for everyone.
Yeah. I think your mother can tell people that that you're a solopreneur, and leave it at that.
Yeah,
and
which she is as well, by the way. But
okay, so the point is that a solopreneur is not a coach necessarily. That's not a solopreneur could be anything. I make jewelry. I'm a solopreneur. Right.
She usually says something. Oh, she does something with email. I'm not sure.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I don't even know if people know to use that, and they know that I do email, but they just don't know how to explain it. And I usually say I'm a solopreneur and I do marketing. Just leave it at that. Okay. I'd be happy. Okay. And most people can deal with that. And then when I say I do email, they're like, "Oh, you do?" I'm like, "Okay, I guess you don't know what marketing is, but that's okay." So, and again, it's only because education-wise, this wasn't part. This was not part of the education system. The jobs that actually exist are not part of the education system unless you want to become. Now, I wanted to become an archaeologist, so history was very important to me. And to this day, I still love history, and I apply history to everything I do. So I'm a big philosopher, and I love history, and I read about lots of things that happen in history and understand life through the lens of an archaeologist historian. I do. I culture, all of it. I understand it through that lens. And that's where it's important. So having some sort of, like, as I said, some sort of reading, writing, arithmetic basics is very important. Learning how to comport yourself within society is important. I mean, even if you want to say that, oh, there are constructs that work against us, the point is there's a huge population out there. We're not getting away from them at any point in time. Learning how to deal with that within our tool sets, what we have to offer. So learning the outside, nature, nurture. Learning that is very important.
Yeah, I agree.
And the nurture part is the nature too. is what's changing the concept of career. I don't think people look at careers the way they used to.
Which I think is great, but hey, I'm a spoiled millennial, so what do I know?
Yeah, no, I think for most, I mean, it fell apart with benefits, right? So now they don't even, it's like the, give email. You have to have value added. Like,
Oh
why
yeah.
would people give you an email address? So why do I need to go to work if I get absolutely nothing out of it except the boss yelling at me? Exactly. I'll put up with it if you give me benefits, but you're not giving me benefits. Don't yell at me, and I won't be there at 9:00. Thank you very much. See you later. So, so the nature of business as the benefits fell out. I mean, things just happened. Things are still happening in such a way that they're being pushed onto the individual, right? So we need, and I'm getting to the next topic, you'll see as soon as I say it, we need to develop negotiation skill. We need to be able to negotiate our own careers, however they change. And if we don't have that ability, it's a setback, So if you're not able to size up an opportunity and negotiate it for yourself, you're constantly losing opportunities. If you think, it's like, oh, I could have had that one. Oh, well, there it goes. Oh, wait, what about? Oh, there it goes. I wasn't quick enough. So negotiation skills and being able to, the dirty word, sell ourselves is critical. And it also is changing. It's not schlock. We're not out there saying, I can sell, snake oil and people will buy it. You're not trying to sell something that doesn't do anything. You're trying to sell yourself. There are people who are selling snake oil. I'm not saying that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sales, buyer beware. But as an individual, how have you been negotiating negotiations?
Very good question. Yet again, through a lot of trial and error to begin with. Obviously, in my first year or two in business, my negotiation skills were still developing. And that meant that I agreed to things that were below what I thought I deserved, or getting what I thought I deserved, which is a different problem of not negotiation, but actually self-confidence and self-worth, which I think as women, we are really struggling with this still, scientifically approved more than men. And I think it's only the past year. I think I owe a lot of credit not only for my own work and my own reflection on negotiation and sales and marketing for myself and for my business, but also I owe a lot of credit to the types of clients that I've had, or specific clients that I've had in the past couple of years, who taught me while working with them about what is it that they're doing. Some of them are coaches or mentors or strategic thinkers, and some of them help with pricing. Some of them help with self-confidence. Some of them help with imposter syndrome. And I really learned, or some of them are doing something completely unrelated to it, but then when I onboard them and I ask access to their sales calls, maybe they're doing something with technology, right? Completely different. And I'm listening to their sales calls with potential clients or existing customers, and I'm learning so much from that experience, from just listening to what they're doing. And not necessarily imitating them, but taking away what I'm gathering from the conversation and seeing how can I apply that to myself and my business. So I learned a ton in the past couple of years. Can I be better? Absolutely. But I definitely think that knowing my worth and learning how to negotiate and learning how to present value that is not necessarily attached to price, that has been instrumental in the growth of my business and how I carry myself in the world in general. Just knowing my worth a whole lot better. And it's definitely something that I would recommend any person to learn more about, because it's a part of self-exploration that I think is uncomfortable, but very, very important for self-growth, especially if you own a business.
For me, negotiate. I don't like to negotiate, although I can talk a blue streak. I don't really like to talk about that. So literally, that part of the conversation, once I sell them what I'm going to do, where I'm wildly confident, I just want to get the money part done and over with.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. It's not that I don't feel that I'm worth anything. It's not that I don't want to make money. It's not any of those things. It is something deep inside of me that it's a very odd thing where just give me this much money, this amount of money, and let's be done with it. Let's never talk about it again until I think that it's time for a raise, in which case I want to talk about it. So, it's an odd thing. I don't know why. I just don't like talking about money. It's me. I know a lot of other people don't have that problem. So they may have problems with their self-confidence. I don't have problems with my self-confidence. There's a big, for me, a big pay it forward model in my head where maybe I'm a communist, where I believe that people should be doing things for other people without a money model. It's called mentorship, right? Where there should be people volunteering their time to others. I just feel that. And it's me. It's not everybody, and it's deep set.
I love that concept. I think both can coexist even in the capitalist world that we live in, and that would improve everyone.
It's odd because I'm a big capitalist, but I do. I mean, I'm big with I'm like hey, I need a cash cow. It's just that for now, for my my thought process is now it's time for me to do this, and literally I need an out of the box method, an off the rails process for what it is that I'm thinking of. Where I realize, oh, you know what? There should be monetization here, but it's not meant to be incredible profit. It's meant to be sustenance. And that, I guess that's how I consider greed, and also how I look at how some people lifestyles. Some people's lifestyles, some people want to do lots of things. And obviously they need a lot of money to do lots of things. I don't want to do lots of things. Like, can I bake? What are you doing this weekend? I'm going to bake bread. No, what are you doing this weekend? I just told you, I'm going to bake bread. That's me.
Listen, baking bread is a very long process. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of time.
It takes, well, what do you mean? What are you going to do with, well, you know what? Guess what? I have to, the bread rises, I have to knead it. It's probably going to take all morning. And, then I'm going to make it, and then I'm going to eat it. So, yeah, there you go. That's the day.
A whole day.
And people don't understand that. They really don't. And that's me. And that's okay. And I have to constantly remind myself, because there are a lot of people that literally will get in their car, drive to the airport, and go to the Bahamas for the weekend, and I'm making bread.
Fair enough.
That is the way it is, and that's the way it needs to be. So that's why I think the way I think, where I'm like, I don't need to charge you all that money, because I don't need all that money. What am I going to do with all the money? I don't need it. Somebody else will say, well, Mama needs a new Coach bag. Well,
Could be.
I could sew my bag together out of old dungaree jeans and be very happy.
So here's the beauty between our differences, but also our commonalities. I'm very much a minimalist, and I don't need to do 1,000 different things at any given point to be very satisfied and content with myself and my life. And I don't necessarily have a FOMO where, even though I'm traveling full time and this is my life and blah, 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 I'm not overloading my days with travel and exploration, because I know that that's too exhausting for me personally. So I'm not the kind of person who does 1,000 different things all the time. So I'm very much like yourself. At the same time, I absolutely think that money has a very, very important role in our lives. Even for the paid forward kind of way, I'm making a lot of money. Not that I will, but I will make a lot of money so I can free up my time. I can maybe delegate some of the work to other people, help them make a lot of money or help improve their lives.
That's when the
and then
solopreneur becomes the entrepreneur. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, so I can allocate an hour or two of my week and mentor someone else who's in need for free. So yeah, money mindset is very, very important. I'm working with someone who does money mindset. Fascinating. I can connect you to if you want to. You don't have to. But I think money mindset, especially as an entrepreneur or solopreneur, and especially as a woman, right? Extremely important for our even well-being.
No, I agree. I agree. The solution that I was able to, for me, the solution for me was to get structured part-time work. So instead of me having to sell myself constantly, I've got part-time jobs that are there, and I can sell myself at any point in day. The opportunities are endless.
Yeah.
And that worked. Previous to that, it was full-time, but they were agency jobs. So I let the agency sell for me, and I got the work. That worked for me.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do the nonsense for me, which was nonsense, because I was like, you know what? It's not my skill set. As I said, talking about money, it's just like, can we get this over with already? And if I need to do that 3 or 4 times a week, that makes me uncomfortable. So I thought, what can I do here? Well, you know what? I could do the work. Let somebody else sell the client and give me the work.
Fair enough.
And it works for me. And that's the model. Now, that does not necessarily mean that works for everybody else, but that was the solution that I needed to work out. Right? It didn't happen instantaneously, because I initially set out as an entrepreneur. I wanted to create a business. More than me, business. And I realized I needed a partner. And then I was like, and I don't have a partner, so I have to find one. And then I didn't find one. I was like, okay, so now I need, I kept on changing it. And I wasn't, I didn't ever say to myself, I'm failing. I kept saying, no, I'm finding out what it is. I don't know what it is.
Exactly.
I have no idea. So when I finally discovered I have a very sellable skill set, and I can either sell it myself or find somebody else to do it for me. And if I can't find a partner, let an agency do it. And it worked. And
great.
And now, as I am continuing to grow in this career that I've selected for myself, which really has no definition other than I work a lot, um, I'm faced again with that negotiation. So I'd say for everyone, it's very important to learn how to communicate with others, to communicate your skills, your what would not your wealth, but your worth, not your wealth, your worth. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to express your worth and to know your worth. And
Yeah.
you may need to settle. I'm not saying to ever settle, but you cannot continuously settle. Not in life,
Mm-hmm.
not in work. You cannot settle all the time.
For sure.
Some things need to be some sort of a negotiation where possibly you're going to compromise. Every single time you
Or they're
negotiate
going
and
to
compromise
compromise.
is no good. You can't do that. You can't compromise with every single time you negotiate, especially when somebody else is coming out ahead of you. That's when you need to say, okay, so I need some help here.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, and I recognized that I needed help in negotiations, and I've been chewing everybody's ear off about it. I don't think that's wrong. I think that's part of the mentorship, because somebody somewhere is going to say to me, Joy, blah, blah, blah. And if I need to pay for that, I'll pay for it. But, somewhere down the line, somebody's going to say something and I'm going to be like, what did you just say? What did you just say? Oh, and it's going to be clear to me over the years. I started off at a very low rate, and I'm not at that low rate now. And when I present the hourly rate and somebody says, oh, their eyes bulge out of their head, I don't go, oh, well, I could be less. I don't do that. I realize, guess what? That's not my client.
Mm-hmm.
But I do that
Yeah.
now. I might not have done that 15 years ago.
It's something that you build up to. It's not something that, it's very easy to be blinded by all the success stories that you see online of this is what I'm charging, or my business has done, I don't know how many millions a year or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And, here's my journey. No one ever starts, unless you inherited a whole lot of money, or invested it, and all of a sudden you found wealth. No one really, unless you have, again, a very privileged starting point, no one ever starts as a success. I don't believe in overnight success as well, because that's something is off to me there, and it's usually not very sustainable, usually. But yeah, talking about money, I actually find it, as a woman, very important and very empowering as well, to know that my worth is in my hands and my salary is in my hands. So I definitely surround myself with more people who talk about money unapologetically, both men and women, and getting the help I need to get to the next level.
I think that over time, it won't be so much as a woman type of a thought process. It will be along the lines of, this is the service that I offer.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this is the salary or the hourly rate, whatever, that is worth that. Not as a woman, but period. This is the service. And
I'm an optimist and a realist, and despite the first, the former part of what I just said, I don't really think that's going to be a norm in the future unless we proactively make it one.
Yeah, well, confidence has to come to realize that, that we know our identities, but that the services that we provide are not based upon the fact that we run fast, that we're tall, that we're rich, that we're, all of those things. The service that we provide is a good service, period. The end. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worth X, period, the end. And you're able to express it in a way that your client connects, the prospect connects, and you're also able to understand that when the prospect doesn't connect, that the business would not have been might have been profitable, but it would not have been a good experience. And sometimes you may say that's the compromise. You know what? I really don't like this arrangement. However, there's something I'm going to get out of it. Maybe it's just the money. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Maybe. Yeah.
I'm going to get out of it, so I'm going to bite the bullet on this one. I'm going to do it, and I'll know in the end what I got out of it. But it's up until this point, and not to get into all the binary stuff, but up until this point, we've been so busy categorizing ourselves as, oh, I'm a woman who wants to get married and have 2 children and live in a house. So we've done that. That's what we see. That's what our parents told us. That's what we see. And I'm being really very, very sexist. So that's what we were taught. But that's because that was the nature nurture of it all. That was it. There are a lot of other opportunities now. I mean, really, really. 100 years ago, teachers were women and often old maids. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't happen now. That wouldn't happen now at all. That wouldn't, while teachers will still be women, I mean, the opportunity is there for them to do anything they want to do. Only because, obviously, again, technology has changed it all. So technology continues to change it, whereby where it's really about the service. And it's almost like, I don't even care where you are, where you're going to, where you're going to be. I don't care. As long as you have, internet, or whatever it is, you can communicate with me, and that your deadlines, and that when I call or I ping you, whatever, you're there. We can discuss, we can figure it out. I don't really care where you are. And I know that you have the skill set. That's it. I think, and there's a lot, again, the word exploited. There's a lot of opportunity there. So if you want to work and make 6 figures, or if you just want to supplement what you got going on, it's there. You just need to have the wherewithal and the confidence to say, I know I have these skills. And I know somebody else has these skills, but they don't have the combination that I have.
For sure. No one can do exactly what I do or think the way I think. And I'm going to connect what you just said to both being a nomad and doing email marketing and technology. I think we got to a tipping point where people kind of expect you to be online and available at all times. And if there's something that I love about email, is the fact that it's not perceived as urgent. So my clients know that whenever they need to get to me, whenever we need to discuss something, I'm available. But I'm not available 24/7 because I cannot, as a human, be available 24/7. And that's all right. Because thankfully, we're not saving lives. We're not responsible for, the human race. Whenever things will get done. But I don't need to be available 24/7 to you. And that's, I'm super grateful that my clients get that. If I don't reply in 24 hours, totally acceptable. No one will, whereas if I were to be a social media manager and I would go MIA for 2 days because I'm traveling across the world, holy crap, unacceptable. Luckily, what I'm doing is email marketing. It's much slower. And honestly, I think that with all the great advancements that technology is bringing to our lives, we need to slow down significantly because it's going off the rails. And if anything, email is allowing that. So I think that, it's 50 years old, but email is the future.
Yeah, I don't foresee it that, at some point in time, it will, obviously, it will need to change because, I mean, how many years did we have snail mail? And it was
Mm-hmm.
necessary, or telegraph, and it was necessary. But the telephone changed the telegraph, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something will eventually change email. But it's not in the next 10 years. I don't know what it will be. I don't even
Mm-hmm.
know what it will be. It will, when holograms happen, it will change it, whatever.
But listen, even Slack try to dismiss email and positioning themselves as the alternative to emails. They coexist.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
And they're
a matter
vertical.
of preference.
They're not either or. They're vertical.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right now, people need telegraphs, telephones, mail. We need these things. Now,
Not all of
the
us.
telegraph has been, again, replaced completely with the telephone and texting. So that, you just
Mm-hmm.
need that. The computer is getting replaced by the smaller devices. So,
I could never work entirely from my computer. I've tried. It's very hard. So even though
from your computer or from a phone?
from my phone.
Right. No. But there are people that can. There are people that
Sure.
can. No, it's like, just give me an app for that. Don't you? Isn't there an app for that? No, there's no app for that. Sorry. Are they going to be doing spreadsheets on their telephones? No.
Very
Are they
hard.
doing presentations from
Very
their
hard.
telephones? No. Are they writing the presentations from their telephones? Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. Are they watching content from their telephones? Yes.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
there are some things that the mobile devices have completely replaced, and not so much tablets as the smaller mobile devices. So I stream a lot of content, and a good 75% of that content that I stream is on my phone, and that's the truth. Okay, and my phone is telling me that, and all my devices are telling me, and my calendar is on my phone. So in any case, I take full advantage of technology, and obviously, the youngest generations are built that way. That is their nurture and their nature. It is
Yes.
both. It's where they get everything from. So, you going to Thailand. So when do you leave for Thailand?
In a week and a half.
And how long are you planning to be there?
I'm not sure.
You might not leave.
I think I will. I have a few other destinations in the area that I would love to either revisit or explore for the first time.
Yeah, I think as far as food goes, when I'm in Asia, I'm like, okay, I'm staying here. I'm never leaving.
Yeah, easily.
That's food for me. I mean, I know that you're big on pasta, but there's pasta in the Orient, in Asia. I just say that it's different. It's rice pasta. It's not
correct,
but it's good. And they have dumplings. And again,
I love dumplings. Love dumplings.
I was just thinking the other day, I think I can make a soup out of dumplings. Like, how would I do that? I have to think about that because I love soup and it's wintertime. I'm like, I'm going to make a soup with dumplings.
You can make a soup with dumplings, but the dumplings can be soup dumplings.
Well, they have, I can make them, and I have made dumplings before. All types. So German dumplings, chicken dumplings, right? I've made potato dumplings, but I've also made, vegetable dumplings, pork and vegetable dumplings. So I've done all, but you can make small dumplings. So when you make the small dumplings, like, oh, that's when you get the soup going on. with the cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm big on cabbage soup. It's winter. I can guarantee you I'll
Oh
be
yeah.
making some sort of dumpling, cabbage dumpling soup, some kind of nonsense.
I think your weekend is already
I'm
filled.
telling. Well, what am I doing this weekend? There was some food. There's some
Dumplings.
food involved with this weekend. I haven't figured it out. It does. It's probably bread related. Probably is bread related.
Fun.
And there's there's a bread recipe that requires that I make it one day and finish it the next. So that's what I'm saying. Bread is kind of funny like that. Bread is fun, and I
Yeah.
love bread. God, I love making bread. There's nothing
Bread is
better than
great.
the smell of bread, fresh bread. Nothing.
I know cinnamon rolls would
You
be
know what I
better.
was just thinking? Other than pralines, and that's an odd thing. It's like a sugary, nutty thing going on, and it's like
Oh yeah.
with vanilla too. It's like, ooh, this is odd, but I think I'm in heaven.
Oh yeah.
And back to vanilla, going, to Thailand, you'll probably be able to get lots of interesting spices in your food.
Yes.
Right? That's the other thing, is that when you travel a lot, you're exposed to spices, and they say that one of the things that is not the greatest about American food is that we don't use spices, and that Americans think that salt and pepper are spices. That's not. That's not.
That's not gonna cut it.
Spices are like. It's really what can change, like, pork from every country that you go to. It's the spice that they put in the pork,
Yeah.
or whatever the food is. So
I'll tell you a little secret. Speaking of spices, I travel with spices myself because I know I have small containers of spices because I know that I'm going to get to a hostel and there's not going to be pepper in the communal kitchen, or there's not going to be garlic or paprika or chili flakes. I carry spices that I think are
that you
crucial.
like.
Yeah.
But there'll be lemongrass when you go to Thailand.
That's correct.
Let me know.
And I don't think I'll even cook for the next couple of months because it's so cheap to just get street food, and it's delicious and it's fresh and it's healthy most times.
Yes.
I hope. So, I don't have to cook. I don't even have to worry about spices. I get it all in one dish.
You know what? I think that that Asia may have invented the street food concept. I'm just thinking to myself, no, it's not true. Street food was invented when civilization was invented. The marketplace was full of street food, which
Correct.
I tell my dogs all the time. No, we're not eating street food, because they just think that anything on the floor is, theirs.
I mean, can you blame them?
I can blame them, because sometimes what they think is food is clearly not.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And they're supposed to have that, extra special nose. It's like, excuse me,
yeah,
I can see what that is. Don't you see what that is?
But the thing is, they're dogs. They don't differentiate.
No,
they don't have favorites.
No. That does not smell good. Yes, it smells good. No. We have this argument as I'm dragging them. And I'm probably not 5 people are calling 911. Woman is dragging dog down the street. Screaming at dog. Screaming, don't eat street food. I don't know what that means. Yeah, that's me. So, Yuval, tell us, how can people find you on the net?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm trying to be communicative over there with my full name, Yuval Ackerman. You can like my business pages, Yuval Ackerman Copywriting, or Email Muscles if you're into getting some mentorship on how to write your emails, and why, and what to
and
write,
when,
and when, and everything, all the WH questions. And if you want to go one step further and learn from me, I would highly recommend that you join my email list, which you can join at ackermancopywriting.com/subscribe. That would be it for now.
I will list all of your socials and links at the bottom of, if you're on Spotify or if you're on YouTube, it will be in the description. So everybody will be able to see that and connect with you, because I think they would get something out of it for sure. Your emails I am on your email list, and they're always something unexpected. So yeah.
Ooh,
So, for
yay.
people who are used to getting emails and you get them and you're like, yeah, 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 yeah. It's not yeah, 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 yeah with Yuval ever.
Good. Yay.
So I thank you very much for guesting my podcast, my humble podcast, and being in my humble abode for the past few moments of our lives. I wish you the best of luck, and we'll talk about that coach that you have at another juncture in time.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, then. Take care.